Let's go to Merleau-Ponty.
Yeah.
So Merleau-Ponty reads Heidegger and sees that it could be transposed into a talk about skill and perception and how you respond to the particular situation. And he takes out all the kind of existentialist the stuff I'm telling you about anxiety, risk, that doesn't interest him. What interests him is coping, how you are able to be an expert and respond to the particular situation. And The Phenomenology of Perception is a brilliant book that goes against the whole philosophical tradition, saying you don't need concepts, you don't need rules, they don't guide action, they don't organize your perceptual experience. It's the way your body has of immediately grasping the gestalt of what's going on, or failing to, and then doing it better next time. So naturally now I teach the Phenomenology of Perception, though I teach Heidegger every year, and I teach Merleau-Ponty maybe every 2 or 3 years, because it's very hard. Well, they're both hard. But Heidegger's the source. He just is where everything, it all comes from him.
Now, but let's talk a little about Merleau-Ponty, because I think this notion, which seems to me to be central to your critique of some of the balloon, I guess we would say, of what computers can do. It helps one burst that balloon. And that is this notion of getting a grip on reality, because our dialogue here is really showing us the way in which you came to an understanding of the humanness of the individual, whether in learning or in acting, and how he, and I guess Merleau-Ponty's term, gets a grip on reality.
Good, I see.
So let's pursue that a little, because in a way it's not just about learning. It's not just what a distinguished doctor does in the surgery room, or what a pilot does, when he's flying a plane and is confronted with an emergency. Talk a little about that, the elements of this, because the assumption before you and philosophers like you came along was the notion, well, there's a set of rules. You go to the text, you find the rule, when the blood starts spurting out of the artery as you're operating, you do such and such. But much more is involved.
Right. Well, I never thought of it the way you were putting these two together, but I see now. Yes, the basic idea in Merleau-Ponty is that we are always moving to get an optimal grip. And now comes the place where he goes sort of beneath what Heidegger was doing. Even in perception, just in perceiving, say, this table. I mean, I am now at a comfortable distance. If I were up this close, I would sense that was not the way to see it in its best, getting a grip. To talk like Merleau-Ponty, he says, if you get too close, then there's too many details. If you get too far away, you've lost the overall, you lose the details. And he talks about how in a museum, your body is just led by a picture to move to the optimal distance, where you see the maximum richness, as he puts it, of the detail, and the maximum clarity of the form, and period. And when you perceive ordinary objects, there's a further thing. You move around them and so forth, and you are led by the object calling on your body. It's just outside of what your mind does or could do. The object just calls you to get in the best relation to see it. It always looks, if you're looking like at a house from the front, you also sense that you'd see it even better if you could also see the back. So what's fascinating about this is that for Merleau-Ponty, he's the first to see this, that normativity, that is better and worse, goes down to the bottom of our experience. It's in our perception of objects. No philosopher, I think, has said that. And skillful coping, as the phrase I always am using, is always being, when you're skillfully coping in flow, without thinking, without rules, your body and its skills is drawing you to get this optimal grip on the situation. And and the situation is always completely concrete. It's something that you've never been in before, and the other people haven't been in before, and you'll never be in it again because having been in it this time has changed you. So, but out of that, and Aristotle already saw that. It was lost sort of till Heidegger found it in Aristotle. And Aristotle says if you keep acting and getting experiences and making mistakes and learning, you will finally become a phronimos, a person of practical wisdom, and that means you'll do the appropriate thing at the appropriate time in the appropriate way, to talk like Aristotle. And that's mastery. That's the highest thing you can get. So does Merleau-Ponty, I'm asking myself, ever talk about mastery like that, or expertise? No, everybody has their own job. His job is to go beneath Heidegger and ground it in everyday skillful action and everyday perception. Heidegger goes to the other end and talks about mastery and how you can become a person of practical wisdom. And even further than that, you can become somebody who changes the world by not just responding in an original way to the situation, but responding in a way that changes people's perceptions of the situation. Mm-hmm. That's the highest thing you can do, according to Heidegger.
Now, let's go pick up that first book that you wrote, which I will show our audience, which is called What Computers Still Can't Do.
No, but wait, stop. Can I interrupt?
Yes,
because the book was called What Computers Can't Do. There's a kind of joke in this third edition.
Okay.
And it started out in '72 as What Computers Can't Do, and it was second edition still, but now in whenever that came out, 93 or something, I put in the still.
Okay, so, and which then helps us relate it to its recent mate, so to speak, which is a book called On the Internet, which I will now show our audience. Now, if I can simplify for our audience, one could say that the thrust of your thinking in looking at cybernetics, which is the first book is about, and then the book on the Internet, which is focusing on the World Wide Web, the notion, the theme running through the other side, so to speak, the people that you're opposing, is the notion that machines or technology manifested in forms such as the World Wide Web could replace humans, basically. That we are heading to that world in which there will be the howls of Stanley Kubrick's movie 2001. And you dismiss that, basically, and you're drawing on all of these insights from philosophy that you just talked about. So, for example, let me read you, if I can find it, in critiquing things like virtual reality. You write that you're trying to describe what a machine or a technology cannot do. And it is this kind of coping with reality that you've just described. And you write, two human beings conversing face to face depend on a subtle combination of eye movement, head motion, gesture, and posture, and so interact in a much richer way than most roboticists realize. Studies suggest that a holistic sense of embodied interaction may well be crucial to everyday human encounters, and that this intercorporeality, as Merleau-Ponty calls it, cannot be captured by adding together 3D images, stereo sound, remote control, and so forth. So it's really the same theme that you are confronting in both of these books. Is that fair?
Sort of.